Creating technology-rich learning environments. A PowerPoint with a difference. A podcast for the learner. I, A.Rowan, will take you through this journey on the 28th of October 2014 in the grounds of the University of Limerick. If we teach today's students as we taught yesterday's, we rob them of tomorrow. John Dewey, a philosopher of education, found that unless we embrace change in education, we risk teaching young people with outdated methods. Therefore, technology has a big role to play, considering it is all around us now. A Nobel Prize winner, Albert Einstein, once said, "I never teach my students, I only provide the conditions in which they learn." The conditions of our classroom at present are that technology is becoming a fundamental in our classroom today, and it has evolved at such a pace that now we do not know where it will take us in the future. This podcast will aim to broaden our knowledge of technology that can be used to facilitate and scaffold learning. From research gathered, learning can be described in 3 stages. In conjunction with Howard Gardner's philosophy, there are 3 main types of learners. The first one is visual learners. These tend to be fast talkers and interrupt conversations. They use words and phrases that evoke visual images and learn by seeing and visualizing. The second one is auditory learners. On the other hand, auditory learners speak slowly and tend to be natural listeners. They think in a linear manner. They prefer to have things explained to them verbally, rather than to read written information. Therefore, they learn by listening and verbalizing. The third one is kinesthetic learners. These tend to be the slowest talkers of all. However, they use all their senses to engage in learning. They learn by doing and solving for real-life problems. They tend to take a hands-on approach and learn from trial and error. These methods can only be taught in suitable learning environments. Learning environments can be broken down into 4 different types: individualistic, cooperative, collaborative, and competitive. The first one we'll address is individualistic. Individual learning implies that knowledge and cognitive skill are assets that the teacher can transfer to the learner. This is where the students work alone with students, having access to all the resources, so the students can find the answer for themselves. The second, cooperative. This is where the students work together in small groups, and every member of the group is responsible for getting the results. The third one, collaborative. This is very similar to cooperative, only the teacher has less involvement and is more about teacher facilitation. The last one, competitive. This is where some students achieve their goals and the others fail to achieve it. What we mean is that this creates competition between each other. With the criteria discussed in relation to learning, an environment can be created which can blend in well with different types of technology. With that, we must look at the life cycle that technology has played in the classroom. William Butler Yeats once said that education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. We can see the past technologies were the first introduced in the classroom to help learning environments, where the likes of chalk to use on blackboards, the typewriter to record information, floppy disks to save information, and videotapes to see information. Present technologies has informed us that classrooms have since moved on from these. There is no longer a need for the likes of VCR videos, typewriters, and floppy disks now. At present, there is a greater use of technologies such as PowerPoint presentation, overhead projectors, whiteboards, laptops, and iPads. Raymond III outlined that there are 3 different types of technology available to us as teachers in the classroom today. They are computer assisted, video meditated, and computer meditated. These are 3 technologies embraced in classrooms today. Professor of Education Sir Ken Robinson states that education is meant to take us to the future, but this is a future that we cannot grasp. If you think about it, children started schooling this year will be retiring in 2074. Nobody has a clue what the world will look like in 5 years' time. So how are we as educators supposed to educate students for the future? Therefore, we need to educate students in a flexible and balanced approach, which include pedagogical strategy in line with technological resources. Future school resources, such as the interactive whiteboard and the use of 3D printers, may suit certain types of learners. Flipped classroom theory is the opposite to the traditional way of teaching. The teacher delivers the class through a medium of podcasts, for example, in which the pupils learn key principles at home and attend school to do their homework. Open educational resources and e-portfolios are further aspects being talked in this direction also. The principal goal of education is to develop men and women who are capable of doing new things, not simply repeating what other generations have done. This was outlined from Piaget. Piaget, an educational philosopher, highlighted this from a very early stage of education. It is clear that our rapidly changing world has posed this long-standing question in education. How can today's schools transform to become an environment of teaching and learning? This is what makes the students lifelong learners and prepares them for the future. Bill Gates states that technology is just a tool in terms of getting kids working together and motivating them. The teacher is the most important. Therefore, the teacher is still the alpha in the classroom. We have communicated the journey of technology in the classroom and how it affects the learning environment with this podcast. But the question is, what have we learned? Our view is that there will always be a need for the teacher in the classroom, and its environments is a major factor for successful learning. Technology is a key and effective resource. It synchronized with the learning environment will make a good teacher better.